What's up, what's up, what's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
It is.
You're listening to The Good,
Sub-Band.
The Ugly, I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff.
Wow. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty today, aren't we?
A little bit.
Like a couple of noobs.
I know.
Idiots.
Weird. Kind of strange.
Hey, with all that being said and done, we are excited today. We have a great guest. We've been waiting. Actually came in on our day off.
Yeah.
Because we are excited to have this artist on. She's played bass for some of the biggest names in entertainment right now, and I think you guys are going to love the story. So we're not even gonna set it up. We're just gonna say, Eva, come on in, and ladies and gentlemen, Eva Gardner. Bum bum bum.
Hello.
Hi.
See?
Hi.
So you had your technical difficulty. We had our ridiculous technical difficulty. We apologize. That was very strange that
It was.
the music did not come up like that.
No.
See, this is what happens when you...
One of those days it sounds, it must be the eclipse or something going on.
It is.
Messing with
Oh,
everything.
jeez.
It is. See?
I know.
The sun is messing with Uranus, with the other, yeah.
Hey
I
now.
almost said that, didn't I?
Did. Almost.
Hey now. So as you know, we don't sugarcoat anything.
Why bother?
So, why bother? But we are so excited to have you on the show today. You know, when we had your friend Ashley on a couple weeks ago, she was like, "You have got to get Eva on." She goes, I owe my everything to her with this gig. And I said, "That's cool." So you went to school with Eva. Or with Ashley, I mean.
Yeah, we went to the same high school. We weren't there at the same time, but we went to the same high school. We came out of the LA County High School for the Arts, LACSA, and we were both studied under the same people there. We're in the jazz band, studied under the same band director. So we came out of the same place. So I know her from there.
Now, when you went on to look at your concentrations on your college and everything, did you go for bass or did you go for?
I actually decided to do ethnomusicology.
Oh.
So, yes. So I have a degree in ethnomusicology, which is a study of world music and culture. And in high school, it was more of a formal training, musical training. And I decided that if I was going to go on to college, I wanted to see what the rest of the world did musically.
Sure.
Just kind of expand there. And I did 4 years there. And my emphasis, interestingly, was Balinese music, Balinese gamelan.
Oh, wow.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Do you have any of that on your playlist
On my
now?
playlist,
Jeff?
I don't, but
Yeah.
I
have bologna.
You have bologna?
Bologna's.
Upstairs?
Yeah, that's sandwich meat. That's upstairs in the refrigerator. Yeah, but that's about as Yeah, well, Ashley has a concentration in Australian art now.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, the didgeridoo and the dude, didgeridoo.
Right.
The didgeridoo.
Yes, yeah. So have you
Exactly.
found
we're multicultural here around here.
That's
There you
right.
go.
So have you found with your touring that you've been able to see some of the stuff that you've read so much about or
And studied and whatnot.
studied?
Some, I mean, I've toured mostly in Western countries, so it's been pretty much just exposure to Western stuff. But I did get to go to Indonesia and travel with my teacher while I was in college. So I got to, that just completely blew my whole mind open, going to a non-Western place and experiencing culture there, both, I mean, different religion, different, just everything was very, very different. And I just always remember that as an earmark moment for me. I wanted to see what the rest of the world did, and so I did, you know. I've also been to Japan and these other places that have a non-Western perspective on the arts and music, and I got to say it's pretty beautiful to be able to see all that.
It's like anything else that people can base their life motivation around. You're a foodie,
Yeah, right.
or
right.
you're into different versions of theology, or you're just a word nerd. Or, like, you know, my sister would read everything under the covers with the flashlight, ruining her eyes forever. But just there's different and music. I think doesn't matter what continent you're on. They get it. It's what can tell a story. It can show emotion. It can show everything. So yeah, I think that's really cool that you've had a chance to do that.
Thank you.
I've been watching like this, I don't know, reality thing with the indigenous people of Alaska.
Oh, okay.
And the music to them even is just I watch it. I'm like, why can't we do this?
Right.
The grandfather teaching the son, teaching the grandchild, the great grand, and they're all singing the songs that have been brought through. And he's like, this is how we keep our traditions alive. This is how we keep the history of our people. It wasn't written down. It wasn't recorded with an iPhone or a video camera. It was the stories being told through music. So that's what moves guys like Jeff and I, is the music, and that's why we do what we do. And I'm sure kind of what you do too. So, so you have a musical background. Tell us a little bit about being brought up around the industry.
Yeah, so speaking of being passed on through generations, my dad was a bass player. So he was part of the British invasion of the 60s and 70s and grew up in London and was right there when everybody else started to. He knew the guys from The Who, and they were doing early shows together. He lived on the same street as Ron Wood, or in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
So their first successful band together was called the British Birds, BIRDS.
Yep.
And that started in 1963. So they were just kids. My dad was 15 years old, and they were just kids starting out. And they were all kids starting out. The Rod Stewarts, the Eric Clapton, the Ron Woods. So he was part of that whole scene.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So I grew up with those stories. I grew up with him telling all these amazing stories, and I just was like, "Yep, that sounds good. I'll do that too." And then he was like, "No."
Did you? No, don't do it.
We never.
No,
Yeah.
we're not doing that.
Yeah, you know why? Because he knew there was guys like him still out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, and so he definitely didn't want that for his little girl. But him saying no made me want to do it even more. So I guess it all kind of worked out in the end.
Did you ever meet any of those guys?
I did. Yeah.
Did you?
And have you?
Around.
And later in life now, do you still run in and people still say, "Boy, man, your dad was such a great bass player, a great guy," and all that? It's got to make you feel great, just even to this time.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, I remember even I was doing like a clinic tour with my drummer friend Mark Schulman, and who was in the Cher band with me in the Pink Band, and we were doing a clinic tour all over Europe, and we were at some stops in Germany, and there were guys that came to our stop and said, "I just wanted to meet you because you're Kim Gardner's daughter. I saw your dad play in 1967 here in, Hamburg or insert whatever city," because that band his band, The Creation, did quite well in Germany back in the day. So it was cool to meet these people that like saw my dad play when he was like, 18, 19, 20 years old, and made an impression on them. And to me, that was just really, really special. They really made me feel really good about what I was doing and where I was. Yeah.
Do you find, and I think I know the answer because I've experienced it being over in Europe for a little while, but do you find the Europeans their attitude toward music is a little different than what we have here? I think they embrace it more, but they don't put people, they don't fanboy. They don't geeked out in that respect of paparazzis chasing signatures. They kind of give people their space. From what I witnessed, but I was there 35 years ago. So,
there's an appreciation for the arts, I think, in general, more so over there. And I know a lot of musician friends that have moved overseas because there's more appreciation for it. There's more room for it. There's more regard for artists. It's not all about, I think, for us, it's about the dollar talks, right? Like it's all about money. And I remember teachers when I was in school saying, if you don't practice that 8 hours a day, you'll never make money. It's a business, business, business. And so we really drive that home, I think, over here. Not to say it's not like that in other places, but I do think there's just more of an openness and respect for the arts in general.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think you're pigeonholed into a genre over there as much. They look at you as an artist rather than a rock country,
bassist or
jazz, blues.
Yeah.
You can collaborate with anybody, and people will appreciate it more, I think, from what I've seen.
Absolutely.
And it's too bad. And I think because we focus so much on different aspects of extracurricular activities, like throwing a ball through a hoop or crashing into each other and getting it across that line. And the musicianship is kind of, that's the first to go. And I think that's horrible.
Yeah.
You can't tell a story. Tell a story with a basketball. You can't tell a story, slapping a hockey puck.
I bet they would beg to differ, but I do agree.
You can tell their stories, but you can't tell the history. And you can't tell a person's passion from how well they throw a football. Obviously, I was a band geek growing up and always the musician and the athlete. Yeah. So there you go, Mr. Football Player, guys. So you had famous dad. You went on, you decided to do the music. He kicked and screamed as long as he could and then said, all right, well, we're just going to accept this. Mom a musician at all?
No, she's not a musician, but she is very musical and really appreciates music. And she loves the bass. Like, she's so funny. She'll still would text me like, listen to, whatever, listen to the station right now. They're playing an amazing bass playing. I don't know their name, but it's incredible. And so she's just like, tune in right now. There's great bass on the radio. And she hears it and she appreciates it. And she actually turned me on to a lot of great music when I was a kid. I mean, she turned me on to, like, I remember she went to we had a store here called The Warehouse. And so she went there and just bought me a bunch of CDs when I was like 11 or 12. And she bought like the Crusaders and Tower of Power and just kind of stuff like that.
Right. That's cool. So she appreciated it and it's relevant, because my mom, every show we ever played, Jeff and I played in bands together. She went to every show. Every show.
She did.
You could tell the words she knew. You could definitely tell the words she didn't.
Right.
Because it'd be like, I'd be like,
Mom's trying to sing.
On a prayer.
Right.
Yeah, okay, Mom. Thanks.
Thanks.
Or she literally, the bass player from Tesla, Brian Wheat, was getting his hair done. He was in town doing a show. He was getting his hair done sitting next to my mother. And she says, I met some nice boy today. Nice boy.
Nice boy.
And he's a musician too. I said, oh, no kidding. That's great, Mom. He's like, he was here to play the amphitheater. And I'm like, what was his name?
Right.
Oh, I don't know. Brian something. And the band, I don't know. It sounds like a car. I said, Tesla? She goes, yeah. She goes, are they important? I said, yeah, they're pretty famous. I said, did you tell them your son's a musician? No. Why would I do that? No, why would you do that? Yeah. 7 weeks later, he's back.
Yep.
Because he ends up buying a house not too far from here. So he's having his hair done again. And they're on the same rotation.
Right.
And she said, I saw him again. I said, did you finally? She goes, no, I don't want to bother him with that. I'm like, I want you to bother him with that. I want him on this show.
Right.
So, yeah.
Want to get him.
So my mother had an appreciation for music, but then that's where it kind of stopped, So I think it's important to pass on what you know and kind of nurture that.
Yeah.
So you've got your mom's musically capable of figuring out what's good and what's bad. She's passing it on to you. You're going to school. First big break. First big, like, holy cow.
What was your first big moment for getting into a band?
Well, I mean, I had played in bands since I was 14, so I played in a lot of bands and a lot of clubs and a lot of backyards, a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
school dances,
Yep.
all that stuff. And it was funny because I was actually getting off. All I ever wanted to do was tour. Seriously, like my goal in life was just to tour like my dad. And he left school at 15 and went on the road. So when I turned 15, I was like, cool. So this is when I do the thing, right? I leave school,
Right.
go on the road. This is it. And
Right.
then I took a minute. I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, okay, it's different now. It's a different time. So stayed in school, finished school, and then decided that I wanted to finish college, although I was getting offers to go on tour in college. And for
cool.
some reason, I just felt like I needed to incubate a little bit longer and finish and get this degree. And then as soon as I finished school, actually, I started playing with a band that didn't even have a name yet. They were forming.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I was still in school, we were rehearsing, playing, sitting on the living room floor, trying to come up with names. And that name ended up being the Mars Volta.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we were recording demos with those guys. And then finally, when I finished college, they had a tour planned in the fall of the next year. And I was like, great, I'm done with school. I can finally go on the road.
Yeah.
And so my first tour was with those guys. And I was in a van and sleeping on floors and in small, sweaty clubs. And I was like, I made it. I did it. Woo!
Yeah.
That was like the best feeling in the whole world. And to this day, I still feel like that was the moment where I felt like I made it because I was on the road doing the thing that I love to do, and it was an amazing time.
You're not still sleeping on the floor, though.
There's usually more comfortable accommodations now, but
Right.
but that feeling was like nothing else. It didn't matter, it didn't matter.
Right.
Do you remember who?
Great.
I'm sorry. Do you remember who asked you? Like while you were in school, who asked you to? Do you remember who asked you to go on tour?
That you turned down?
And you turned it down?
I don't remember exactly right now, but I do remember while I was in high school, I got a page. I had a pager.
Okay.
And during like my lunch break, I went to the payphone and called the number back. I was like, hey, I got a page from, what
Yeah.
you do? I got a page from this number. And it was someone who was putting together a band called the Wallflowers.
Oh.
And which
Okay.
hadn't come out at the time. And I was like, oh, that's cool, but I don't know. I have finals on Friday, and I don't think I can. Sorry, thanks, but I don't think I can do it.
I can ask my mom.
Ask my mom.
I got
but
finals
then
on Friday. Can't make it.
When they came out and they hit, I was like, oh, hey, it's those guys. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's one that I.
That's
remember,
very
yeah.
cool.
So you're.
Don't even do the math.
No. I'm saying no. I think no.
Okay.
So you figure you were in high school. So that was like in the that was early 90s. Is when this transpired.
Mid 90s, yeah.
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 So you grew up really digging just as LA was just starting to simmer down a little because it just blew up 82, 83,
Yeah.
84, peak like
Yep.
89, hits 90. Now all of a sudden the music scene starts going up the coast
Into Seattle.
Seattle.
into the coldest,
Yeah.
crappiest weather everywhere so that you can write songs that you want to cry about all the time. This is coming from an 80s guy who goes,
Singing, staring at your shoes.
yeah, screw you, grunge, we want big hair and hairspray.
Right.
But I mean, you were there. That was where you wanted to be, LA, during that whole movement. So I think it's cool that I'm sure that helped influence a lot of your decisions.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also was in LA during that whole time that you're talking about as well. So I was around a lot of those bands as well. Like my uncle Andy, my dad's best friend, Andy Johns, was a producer, engineer, and he worked with Van Halen and Cinderella and Killer Dwarfs and all these bands. So when I was in elementary school, we'd go to Uncle Andy's house and be swimming in the pool, and all these guys with big hair and spandex.
Yep, they show up.
Leather belt to be coming in and listening to the latest mix of the record or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and those guys. I mean, my family has a pub in LA called the Cat and Fiddle, which has been around since 1982. So also a hub for all these guys. Like Guns N' Roses had a PR like meeting or whatever in the back of the back room at the Cat and Fiddle, right? So
Right.
but that was definitely my childhood, was seeing
That's
all of
cool.
that, seeing all those guys.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Which now looking back was like, it was pretty cool to be in the midst of all that.
Yeah.
Seeing it.
Yeah, I was out there then, because I was like, I'm moving to LA.
Oh yeah.
And then I got out there, I was like, holy shit, this place is a lot different where I'm from.
I think
I don't
every
know if I want to stay here.
I think every kid our age had that. I'm moving to LA.
Well, our housemates were a couple guys from Great White, so it was like,
Yeah.
and you were having
Yeah.
those same people
Yep.
in 1987 coming to the house, and I was like, I saw Motley Crue when they were still on their own label, and seeing Great White,
Yeah.
and White Lion, and White Snake. I mean, all the whites,
All the whites.
all the white bands.
All the
that
whites.
came out so wrong, and I apologize.
really
It's
did.
not how it was supposed to come out. But yeah, all those
Yeah. Big hair.
Aquanet bands,
Aquanet.
yeah, were out there. But yeah, that's a cool time to be there. So I'm very jealous of you. But
Yes,
you did
I am.
mention your dad at a bar, and I did read that your dad's bar was haunted.
Yes.
So
It's very, very
She says that with
haunted.
such conviction.
I
like, yes.
I owned a
Yes.
bar as well, and my bar was haunted. So my daughter would probably tell some of the same stories, and like full-bodied apparitions, the whole 9 yards. So
Oh wow.
oh yeah, to the point
Okay.
where my daughter wasn't scared anymore. She was just like, just saw Ruth in the back room. I'm like, oh,
my goodness.
did she say anything? Just hello. That's all she ever seems to say to me is hello. I'm like,
Okay.
so I'm like, well, if you're not scared of her anymore,
Right.
now's the time
Let's
to make sure
invite her to dinner.
all the lights are off when you come out of the kitchen into the dining room, and I'll have that
Right.
rubber mask on.
Yep.
She Scooby Dooed it with her feet, and yeah.
Gone.
So yeah, I'm sure that could be a whole show talking about what you've been through on a haunted basis.
We were actually, the restaurant was on an episode of My Ghost Story.
That's what
That's
got
awesome.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do our pre-show stalking. I mean research. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
so how bad?
Like the hauntings?
Yeah.
The hauntings?
Yeah.
Scary
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I definitely, when I became manager, it was definitely one of those things where I hated closing up at night, and you'd hear noises and just kind of turn everything off and run out as fast as you could. But I remember like working behind the bar, and the CD player, like our jukebox,
Yeah.
would start doing weird stuff, and you'd see CDs like shooting out
Yep.
from the CD player, and you'd open it up and they'd all be broken, and pages would just like flip on their own, weird stuff like that. That corner of the restaurant had a lot going on. But there were people who would talk to, like, I'd have friends who were sensitives, and they would they would communicate with these spirits. I'm not one of those people, because I don't want to see anything. I don't want to know, like, I'll know you're there, but like, cool, you just do you, leave me alone, and I'll leave you alone, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are people who knew the regulars, like the regular ghosts that would hang out at the restaurant. And there was one that would hang out in the kitchen. There was another one that would like hang out in the dart room, and another one that like would shake the windows at night.
Oh wow.
And apparently this gentleman was in a motor crash on Sunset Boulevard and didn't know he was dead, and would still try to come into the bar at his regular time every night. So like 11 at night, these windows would shake.
He wants to go in and sit at his favorite bar stool.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's
trying
cool.
to get in before last call or whatever it was. So yeah, just kind of stuff like that. But,
So the bar's still in your family.
it's still my family. We're in a different location now. We're not in that building anymore.
You let the ghost
So we've left all
drive
the-
you out.
We've left all the ghosts behind.
What is it now?
The old building.
Yeah, parking lot.
It's
Parking lot.
what is it now? No, it's not a parking lot. It's a historical building. So they had it
Chick-fil-A.
torn down, but
Okay.
yeah, but I think it's like a bakery. Like it's a chain. It's some sort of chain.
Chain
that's in there
restaurant or
now.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ball and chain. ghostly
Not a
spirits.
big chain, but I think it's like a bakery type restaurant.
That's
place.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the ghost hunters out at the show, out from the show, Ghost Hunters. They were out to the my bass player was executive producer of that show. So, but yeah, we been through that. We could go on. But people are sitting at home going, "Get on with it, stupid! Don't talk about ghosts all fucking day."
It's not a ghost show.
Yeah, it's not a ghost show. That's next week.
That's next week.
It's next week. Big Papa's Ghost Show.
Great.
So getting into the whole, you start touring, you made it, you're sleeping on the floor. Now
She's
you're
not sleeping on the floor now.
No, she's still sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
Not now, but back then.
Right.
I see, Veruca Salt. Then I see Pink. I see Cher. But you're back and forth with Pink a couple times, right? You were with her and then left and came back.
I started with her in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll do a tour with her. Usually she tours about 2 years to our last one before the one we're on now was 2.5 years. So I'll be out with her for a couple years. And then the tour will finish and then she'll take a break. So during that break, I'll work with other people, tour with other folks. But every time Pink does a tour, until she doesn't want me around anymore, I'm there.
There you go.
That's awesome.
When she calls, I'm there. So fortunately, I've been very lucky. It's been 17 years with her now, and
oh wow,
it's awesome. It's wonderful. So yeah, she's the priority whenever she does something.
So is that how you were able to say to Cher's camp when she had the residency there, hey, this is my gig. I've got to go. I've got to find somebody to replace me. That's when you called Ashley or recommended her.
Yeah. So Cher and Pink had the same manager.
Yep.
So when Pink started up, management basically said, "Cool. So we're gonna take you guys and put you back on Pink," and then we found replacements for ourselves. Right. Technically, they were subs, but it's been so long now. It's their gig.
Must be full time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, did you work with Ben Morrow at all?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. So he was. Who else have we had on the show?
Ashley.
Well, Ash, and then
Sutter. I know
Jason Sutter. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you worked with him as well.
We didn't play together in the Cher band. I was playing with Mark Schulman, and Sutter was Mark's replacement. But
okay.
I do know Sutter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, so we've had a good number of people from
Cher.
We haven't had Cher though.
No.
I don't know why. She just won't return my calls.
And you're not gonna get it.
That happens.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
You know what? That's cool. I've got the people that are backing her. I've got one of the best female bass players, one of the better bass players out there. I mean, you've got your own signature bass. I mean, what could be more cool than that?
Yeah, how cool was that for you?
It's still surreal, actually. I mean, it was a real dream come true, considering Fender's been a household name since before I was born.
Right.
So it was really, really special. Again, it was the Europeans that made that happen. It was Fender Germany.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did your dad did your dad have his signature bass?
Mm-mm. He did not.
So Dad's going, one up me. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, daughter.
Thanks, daughter. You one upped me.
Told you. Should have dyed your hair purple. So tell us some of your favorite places that you've played. Some of the best venues or best concerts.
I have to say one of the most special for me was Wembley Stadium because London's where my dad's from. It's where it all started for me. Sure. And so being able to play there was like I could die tomorrow and
You're okay. Yeah.
I did the thing. That was really, really special. There's what else? I mean, Isle of Wight for the same reason. That was a really, really, really special special time for me. And Fenway Park.
Oh, wow.
Wrigley Field.
Yeah, Wrigley Field, sure.
Places, again, it's like places with history, legendary, these legendary places.
Right.
Yeah, stuff like that is pretty special for me. I also love playing places again with history, like playing Edinburgh Castle, like being able to be overseas and play at these places where like this old castle is your backdrop. It's
right.
Just,
yep.
It's so fun for me.
Yeah. When I was in England, I didn't have a chance to go to Scotland, but I kicked myself for not doing it. But I was there living my little moment because I wanted to see music stuff. Mm-hmm. And the band, and I've mentioned on the show, the band Aha was staying at my hotel. Uh-huh. They were nothing. They were just a bunch of teenagers that were avoiding going back to their country. They get drafted. So they were living at the hotel. The label had them there. And we went and we hung out, and because they knew I was a musician as well as they were, and we were around the same age, and went to the studio, watched them record, met Billy Squier, met the guys from Duran Duran, went to eat lunch with Billy Squier
at Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut, yes. Well, he wanted pizza in England.
In England, you want pizza, and you go to Pizza Hut.
But then I went and saw the Hammersmith Odeon because I was, a big metalhead, and I followed bands like Motorhead and
Iron Maiden,
and all those guys that had played that beautiful venue, and I was like, "This is huge," And we were able to, because of Aha's relationship with the label. They're like, "Yeah, just go and talk to this person. We'll set it up." So I blew off like, what do you call Stonehenge to go there. The rest of the tour that I was with, I was just like, "You guys go. I'm doing this." So Scotland would have been kind of cool too to see some of the
Well, if you want to see Stonehenge, just watch Spinal Tap. It's on there.
Yeah, it's only this tall. It's that tall, right?
Right.
Made out of foam.
18 inches.
Yes. I said 18 feet.
Right.
Worst place you ever played? How about that? You don't even have to say with who you're with. But
yeah.
Like venue
Yes.
or country or venue?
Both. Venue and country. How about that?
We don't want to start a war.
One venue I played somewhere in the States that literally had a hole in the floor, like a hole in the stage.
Was it Rochester?
Like literally a hole. And we just had to dance around this hole and make sure we didn't fall through. That was pretty interesting.
We have a place here in Rochester, and one of the people Joey, when Anthrax went to play there.
Oh, Donna, yeah.
And
who's from here?
Yeah. And they had to cancel the show because the stage was unsafe. However, you've got somebody like this who's dancing around a hole in a stage. Yeah, go play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's fine. Just watch your step.
Yeah.
We had a metal pole in the middle of our stage here in Syracuse, and every band in the 80s
knew.
Yeah. Until Rudy Sarzo almost gave himself a concussion because he ran through the fog and didn't realize there was a pole in the middle, and just poof, down goes Frazier.
Yeah.
And if you ask him still to this day, he'll say, "Fucking Lost Horizon, that stupid pole." Yeah. So, yeah.
But the stupid pole's gone.
It is. And the bar still stands.
Yep.
So you had some bad plays. How about the worst country? You almost said the worst country.
I know.
I'm trying to think, but I don't know. I feel like everywhere I've been has been pretty cool. I mean, there's always, even if it's like not the most, it's not as nice as I don't want to say nice, but like modern or something as another place. There's still charm to it, or there's still adventure. There's still an experience to get out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
So I think worst. The idea of worst is subjective, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we've heard stories of security kind of stories, like where you just don't want to leave your hotel. You do the gig, you get the bus, and then you go, or whatever you're in.
Yeah.
Or if your bus broke down and you're going to be run over or overrun by hooligans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So luckily,
I hear about people telling me horror stories about places like Russia. I mean, I've been to Russia, but I was in St. Petersburg, so it was okay. But I hear like Moscow is a whole other experience that some people I know have had a kind of I think would qualify as worst places for them.
Right.
But again, I wouldn't know personally.
Right.
Do you get nervous now knowing the way that there's so much uneasiness overseas now compared to even 10 years ago, where you just didn't, you going to Russia was an experience to see the architecture, the culture, the food, the people, all that, where now all of a sudden we're back to, oh boy, you don't want to go there. Do you find that you're getting, when you see these dates now coming up on the tour, you're like, this is going to suck,
Get me a replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not really. I still feel pretty excited to go to all these places. I do feel like there is this low level anxiety that just a lot of people have right now anyway, just with everything. Right.
Okay.
Like the whole COVID pandemic, like frazzled our nervous systems, and we're not completely out of that. Like we still COVID test on tour every 3 days. We still have to.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Be careful of that. So it's still
Sure.
a thing. We still have to be super aware and cautious. And there are subs that tour with us. We have subs for, if anyone goes down on stage, then so it's just a whole other level. And on top of what you're talking about, like just these countries where, the Russia, Ukraine, stuff in the Middle East, there's just this other layer that's the layer upon layer. I think that's added. That just that there's just a general, even if you're not conscious of it completely, it is part of the collective.
But you're there almost to take their minds off it for 45 minutes or an hour
and a half or two
longer,
or whatever.
I don't know how long your show is, but.
Well, that's how they introduce the show, actually, is they say, okay, well, let's forget about everything for the next 2 hours and just have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I think that's the way to be. And I think that's why we love what we do musically, is that you can, even if you're a local band or you're a local musician, and
you can let it go for,
let
3 hours
for
or whatever.
3 hours, somebody comes out and they leave all the BS at home, or it's not the boss calling you after 5,
right?
Which is now going to be California law. They can't, or something. You can blow off your boss after 5, I guess. Which is kind
I
of
haven't heard about that.
Oh yeah, I told my
Look at her,
boss.
she's like,
I told my boss that one today. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, 5 o'clock. No,
sorry,
I have to hang up. I shouldn't be talking to you."
Yeah. You can call me at 7 a.m.
Yeah. By the I said
call me after 5.
Start after 5.
That's right. Don't call me after 5.
Right.
And that's usually when they call you.
Oh, I know.
25 after 5. Hey, sorry I didn't get to you today. Well, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow because I'm closed.
Yeah, I'm closed.
I'm closed.
That's another thing I think they do well overseas as well, is with the work-life balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a different way that we have here.
Yeah.
Well, they're even looking at 4-day work weeks now, which should I wouldn't mind putting an extra couple hours in every day and have a long week, because
I would do that.
This has nothing to do with music, but it just has stuff to do with life. If you think about it, we work 8 hours, we travel an extra hour, so 9 hours out of your day are so that you can go home and relax for 3. And you work 5 days to possibly hang out and relax 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And when did it change from just enjoying life? And it puts in perspective these people that live the sustenance life.
Yeah.
It's like when you're hungry, you go out and get food. And they're working all the time.
Yeah.
But they're working, and if they make it, it's because they make it. You can bust your ass to get nowhere. And again, that's where I love the fact that people that do art and music and poetry and writing and reading. Way
to bring it back.
That's the way to be. Yeah. Did you see what I did?
Way to bring it back.
The whole 360 degrees back to the. Yeah. But it's about music, and it's about having fun, and it's about telling the stories. So what you're doing on a big scale, people are forgetting the bullshit for a while. And I think,
What's it like playing for
it's nice
Pink
for
anyway?
people to check out for a bit.
What's it like playing for Pink?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been with her for a long time, and it's a very special group of people. Really, really cool group. And a lot of the people, it's the same people that started when I started, or were there before.
Oh, no kidding.
I hadn't even been there. Right. So
wow.
There are people that have been there. Her MD has been there 23 years now.
Wow.
And her one of her keyboard players been there 20. So it's quite a long-standing group of people.
Yeah.
I think I saw that I know enough to be just to be considered stupid, but I watched the movie, okay, like the documentary, which you're in.
Mm-hmm. All I know so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a story of my life. All I know so far. But she just seems so genuine and down to earth. And there are quite a few musicians that people wouldn't think are that way.
Right.
But it's just their nature.
But we've asked this question before, too. So, and we've gotten some different answers out of it, too.
Mm-hmm. I know where you're going with this. Do
you get to hang out with her? And I'm not saying, before the show, I'm like, do you guys, go to dinner? Or do you or as a group, or just you two, or?
She does invite everybody, like the band and dancers. She'll, on day off, she'll say, hey, we've got a boat going out down the lake or something. So she'll invite everybody. But usually on her time off, if she's not doing something like that, she's with her family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. She's with her family, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little bit different before everyone had kids. But now the family's the priority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As it should be.
And I think what sparked that for us was Ben telling us a story
about
that
Lionel
he did.
Richie.
Well, about Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
But then he thought a different way when he hooked up with Cher.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm a hugger.
Oh.
So she came in and she hugged her dancers. So he jumped down off the band riser there and came up and gave her a hug. And
I guess at first
she had this look like, why are you, why are you hugging me?
She was a bit taken aback by it. And he's like, I'm a hugger.
But then he also said that the rest of the band kind of jumped down and said, oh, this must be our cue. We could give her a hug. And he got pulled aside. He was like, I know it's your first day here. Just don't do that again.
Right.
It's like she doesn't hate you, but she's just not a big hugger.
She's going to fire you.
If she, you'd know it. But so when we heard that, I was like, I wonder how many other people don't really
get to interact
with the artist. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's just the way they are. But I think when you start doing some interaction, you kind of feel a little bit more like that family member,
Yeah. I mean, my first day I met her, I met her at sound check, and she gave me a big old hug and said, welcome to the family. And
That's
she's
awesome.
that person. She's still that person.
Yeah.
She's like that with the crew. Like, some of the crew's been around longer than I have, and she's very open and warm and accessible. So
that's cool.
And it's still like that with her. She's the same down to earth person.
When are you getting hooked up for your trapeze act?
Putting it in the suggestion box, and it just never
no
happens.
way, huh?
Because something tells me you'd be like, hell yeah, I want to try that.
I would love to try it. I'd be into that.
Yeah. Nope.
I can see it now.
Nope. Nobody wants to look up and see this flying. Like, holy crap.
No, I mean her.
Yeah.
Not you.
Yes. Chicken Little and the sky is falling.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I watched that. I still wonder how she can control her breathing enough to sing, doing as much as she's. I mean, that's.
Exactly.
I don't care who you are. If you're an acrobat,
good luck.
That would be the whole pucker factor the whole time. I'd be like, nope, not saying a word, just gonna pray that I get to the ground. And she's up there.
She doesn't lip sync either. Like, she sings 100%. She's not a lip syncer, and she makes it very clear. And and she's doing all that.
Thank her for that.
God, that's so cool.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I know you're not. He
thank
hates
her for that.
He hates any backing track. He hates
Don't
any.
do it. If you can't, I understand if
Don't
you can't
be
go
stupid.
out.
You're going to say something.
No,
dumb
I understand
now.
if you can't go out with like your orchestra or whatever, and you want to pipe that in. That's great, but pick up your instrument and play it.
Well, yeah.
You know.
But sometimes you have an acapella set up or something. Fat Bottom Girls was always on track.
I know.
All right, then shut up.
That's more my wife than me anyway. So she was the Queen fan.
Yeah, well,
So
you don't you dare say something bad about Queen. I will turn your mic off.
Oh, no, I
the
can't.
show.
I won't be able to go home.
That's right. I'll call your wife and tell her. Funniest thing that ever happened to you on stage. You knew this was coming.
Funniest thing. I feel like there's a lot of funny moments.
Well,
I feel like with a lot of the artists I work with, they're just like stand-up comedians a lot of the time as well. Funniest thing. I feel like one of the funnest thing that happened one time is we were playing a festival in Hungary, and there were these really delicious cocktails going around, and the Pink during the show, in the middle of our show, was like, "Hey, you, bring up a round." And then he was like, "Who, me? Really? Okay." And then he just came up with a tray. It was 100,000 people out there, and he's like in his little like cocktail server suit, and he comes up on stage while we're playing and like serves everybody these delicious cocktails. And that was just a really fun
That's
impromptu
funny.
moment that, yeah, has never happened again, but it was really fun at the time.
I think you should incorporate that into the show.
you should do that in every country.
Right.
What's going to be the drink? Yeah, but see, no.
What's the
And
drink?
see, here's
here?
the cynical part of. Here's my cynical, stupid, conditioned mind.
Okay.
All right. Somebody knows that she's going to ask for drinks. So now security's got to be like, no, wait, let me sip every one to make sure, because he knew this was coming, and roofied. And roofies don't work. No, I put 2 in my drink the other night when I was out, and I went home alone.
Oh, man. I don't know
telling you,
how.
roofies
Why? Why?
I've been trying to get that joke on this show for a while.
Yeah, good job.
So, yeah, you can't do stuff like that because people would take advantage of a fun situation.
They would.
Yeah. So that's your big
That's
funny
what's coming
moment.
to mind as my most fun moment. That was
Nice.
like a really
how about
fun moment.
how about a blooper? Something that went wrong.
Like maybe an equipment failure.
Doesn't have to be
for just you.
Yeah,
Not the
yeah.
whole,
We don't need that.
Oh, just me? Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, equipment failures all the time. But part of
Yeah.
I think that's the weirdest feeling is if my amp totally goes out, I have to pretend that everything is totally fine, and I'm smiling and playing and jumping around and pretending that everything's great, but there's literally no sound coming out.
Well, then you can blame it on somebody else and be like, damn production guy.
That's the funny thing about bass is that people know something's off, but they don't know what it is.
Right.
They just know that something's missing or strange and the bottom fell out, but they don't really know what it was. And that's, but just have to smile and keep pretending and hopping around and
then
looking
screaming,
around and
screaming at your tech.
right? Screaming at your guitar tech and going, "Hey,
hello,
right?
Someone help.
What did you step on?"
Are you you've been jamming with the same drummer for a long time, so you know you and the drummer, you guys are the pocket. You're the backbone. You're the everything. Do you find it completely off if substitute has to come in and you're like, oh boy, here we go?
Yeah, so it was Mark Schulman on drums with Pink for 16 years, for a long time, up until this last tour. And now we have a different drummer on the road. And Brian Fraser-Moore, who's also amazing. And speaking about those subs again, with COVID happening, we had to do some shows with the sub.
Right.
And it was a different drummer, but we had rehearsed all the subs. So you know, the show was, he did a great job playing the show. And it's, the thing about that gig is that the show's the show.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a lot of room for someone to do their, fancy licks or, it's not really the time or place to go off script because
Right.
everything's so scripted.
Right.
Okay.
There's time code, there's video, there's lights, there's
Right.
this whole, it's a program, right?
Right.
So, so it still felt pretty good. It wasn't that strange, Yeah, he did a great job. The sub did a great job.
Good.
So, click track. Yep. Everybody.
All click. Everybody all over the place. It's
Okay.
all click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss not having that in your ear? Do you,
I used to hate the click.
Okay.
I used to really, really not like it at all, and used to just not have any click in my ears because we all have in ears. We have our own mixes on that gig, and I used to have no click and just want to listen to the drummer. Just
Yes.
want to listen
Yeah.
for that and vibe with the drummer. And then things started to shift over time, and now I actually really, really like the click. I like being in the same page as everybody. I like locking in with the click in addition to everyone else. There's just something about it that I appreciate now. And there have been gigs that I've done in the last several years where there wasn't any click, and it was more like there was more room to play around, but it was also a different thing. I did the reunion stuff with the Mars Volta a couple years ago. Totally different thing, right? We have in-ears, but there's no click. There's a lot of improvisation. There's a lot of room to stretch out. So I would say now in that situation, I don't miss a click because
Right.
it's a totally different vibe.
I have to ask because you said it twice.
What?
What in-ear what in-ear do you use?
Currently, I am using JH Audio.
Oh, wrong answer.
Yeah.
We were supposed to
Do you have a
say
sponsorship?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
We are sponsored by Ultimate Ears. This is the Ultimate
okay.
Ears
I
studio.
used to use those. Yeah.
So I have to
Those are great.
Don't
Yep,
don't say used to.
Just say, oh yeah, I've used those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a pair of those. They're fantastic.
There you go.
Custom handmade.
The UE11s.
I've got the UE Lives. So, which big difference than some of the other brands that I had. But when I got the endorsement, I was happily surprised and happily. Yeah. So we didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, so now I feel like a jerk, but that's why I ask. Ultimate Ears. I have 1,199 times more. I have to say it on the show. But yeah, so we're very happy about
Fantastic
this
brand.
one. Yes.
When you go off the track.
I know I was supposed to do it at the beginning, and now we have to put the logo and all that other shit. But thank you, Ultimate Ears.
I was going to say.
You can hear your own tears with Ultimate Ears.
Yep.
You're
working on letting.
I'm coining that
Yeah.
until they tell me to stop.
Wow.
So you've got your signature bass, you've got your in-ears, you've got some click tracks going on, you've got all this fancy, fun stuff. What's next? What do you want? What do you want to see happen next? One of those I made it moments.
Yeah, just more writing. I mean, I write music too, so I'm working on a new record for myself, and I love collaborating with people on those. More creative projects, more.
What kind of music are you writing?
Just more of all of it. So I tend to write more like poppy stuff, pop rock, pop alternative, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Compared to.
That's just I don't know. So when I told somebody that I was making my own music and I played a song that I was working on, and they're like, that is not what I expected was going to
come out of you
that was going to sound like, because they were for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, but they were expecting a bass centric song, right? Like really just all bass or something. And it's not that at all. So they were very surprised.
Okay.
But it's just what comes out.
Yeah.
It's just what happens. Yeah.
So you're singing on the album as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there earlier versions of your work on
like Spotify
or Apple Music that we can?
Oh.
Yeah, it's on both Spotify and Apple Music. I released 2 EPs and a couple singles so far.
And
Working
they're
on more.
called. We're trying to drag it out of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. First EP is called Chasing Ghosts, and the second
Appropriate.
EP is called Dark Matter.
Oh.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Eva, you're on here not because you jammed with Pink, not because you played with Cher or Gwen Stefani. You're on here because you're a kick-ass musician.
Yes.
And we want to let our listeners in on that little secret that, hey, there's a lot more than just a pretty face up on a big stage, that you are diverse and you know. So I am going to say this. You know me. I don't ever backpedal or apologize for anything that comes out of my mouth.
Here it comes.
No, I'm going to say this. Earlier when we were talking, I said you're one of the best female bass players. That shouldn't have come out of my mouth that way, because it's not. My sister taught me this a long time ago when she was auditioning for the Crane School of Music, and she went through her audition, and the professor, who was also Jason Sutter's professor, said that was one of the best female percussion auditions I've ever heard. And she grabbed her sticks and her music, and she said, "Thank you, but I won't be going to school here." And she'd been talking about going to Crane her whole life, because she is an incredible percussionist, and then switched everything to vocal and education. But she came out and she got in the car and she told my parents, "I'm not going to school here." She said, "Why?" He said it was the best female percussion audition he's ever had. So is that why he liked how I played, or did he just want to? So as it came out of my mouth, I apologize. That is not how it was meant to sound. So I was going to say it after, but I think it's noteworthy, and people should hear that was wrong of me, and I should have never said it that way. So, but yeah, we're excited for you as the artist and the stuff that you do and have done, and you know we look forward to more and more that you're doing.
When will some of the new stuff be out?
I don't know right now. It's a work in progress. It just kind of depends on the touring schedule and what comes next after that.
Are you going back out on tour soon?
Yes. I'm headed to Europe with Pink.
Oh, cool.
In a couple months.
Nice.
That's why we're doing this now.
Fine by me.
Yes. No. Yeah. Definitely. And then we've got to try to get Rick's brother on, because he's part of the last leg or this next leg of the tour as well. Mr. Kua. Yes. So
Kua's got stories. If you want stories, he's got stories.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
He has all the stories.
Yeah.
He's and his family from this area are it's a legendary music family.
It is.
From this town of central New York. Between his brother, his father was a incredible music teacher that just taught so many musicians that went on. Guys like Ben Morrow, guys like Pete Merluzzi, who was a tour manager as well. I mean, they're a big name in this area. So we were thrilled to have his brother on, and we would like to have both of them on. So, but yeah, there's been a lot of people that came out of here that we've been thrilled with. But, you know, we wouldn't have been able to do this without Ashley's help. So we have to give a shout out to Ashley.
Absolutely.
And we'll say hi to Chris.
Yeah.
But it was really Ashley. It had nothing to do with Chris.
Yeah, but I like Chris. Chris is a good dude.
He is a good dude.
He really is.
He did. Yeah. Yeah, I'd see,
it's most lovely. Yeah.
You know, when we were doing our research, I said, I was looking at some photos. You had your hair blonde at one point, and I was like, wait a minute, is that Ashley?
Who are we getting?
I was like, wait a minute, that's not Ashley.
Yeah.
So I thought for a second there, I was like, poor Ashley got hired because she's blonde.
Well, actually, Mike did say that you and Ashley could have been sisters.
Yeah. I don't know if that's, you know, a good thing or a bad thing, but,
right.
You know.
Yeah, when we had the same hair, there was definitely some confusion out there, I will say
Oh, nice. That. Good for you. I like that.
What's your question? Do you always ask?
Well, I was going to say, before we let you go.
No, we got one other thing besides it.
Well, yeah. So who has been let me ask you this first. Have you ever like fangirled out over meeting somebody before?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that.
And if so, who was it?
Yeah, Robert Plant
Really?
was pretty. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty awesome.
I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be very cool.
It's people like that. Like
Oh.
when I met John Entwistle, I was like, it's freaking John Entwistle. Or B.B. King. I was like, fucking B.B. King.
Somebody else we interviewed said they met Jimmy Page. I can't remember who the hell it was though off the top of my head. But Robert Plant.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you?
And the biggest thing is he was really nice. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole you don't meet your heroes kind of thing. But what made that experience even better was that he was such a nice person.
Yeah.
So that just made me even more excited about it.
Did he know your dad?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He knew my dad, and he was actually there. He was actually at the Cat and Fiddle with a family friend that I had that I'd known since I was a kid. So, and her and Robert Plant were good friends, and she brought him in one day, and so
that's great.
that was like
Yep.
my moment.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you still get those
Did you
big
ask him
celebs
right
at the bar now? Are they still coming around, or is
they
it
still come around?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them aren't around anymore as well, unfortunately. Right. But I mean, Entwistle used to be a regular, and a lot of these guys were regulars. Lemmy was a regular. He knew my dad really well.
Oh boy!
But a lot of these people aren't around anymore, including my father, unfortunately. So, but there are some people who come around.
That's cool.
Still some,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So before we let you go, I want to see what this hubbub is. Your tattoo is famous.
Yes.
That's on your bass.
That's on my bass. Yes.
Yes. Don't get nervous.
Right here. Right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there. It's a ship.
Yeah.
That's what's on my bass. And the story is my very first memory was spent on a boat under a full moon. I was with my parents. It wasn't a tall ship like the one I have a tattoo of, but my dad loved tall ships. And he said that he and I used to be pirates in a past life together.
Oh, wow.
When I was a kid. So we kind of have this. My dad was a total English lunatic, like rum drinking pirate. He was nuts. So when I was in New Orleans one time, which is where my parents met, and I was in an old antique shop and I saw an old scrimshaw brooch that had this tall ship on it. Mm-hmm. And so it was just kind of a cool representation of my dad and my parents, and I found it in the city that my parents met in. So that's why I decided to get this tattoo, and it ended up on my bass, which is kind of like the reason why I get to travel so much, right? It's like it's this piece of wood,
right?
Like a ship that brings me to places.
This vessel,
so,
yes. Musical vessel.
Yes.
Exactly, musical vessel.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
See?
Yeah.
Now that right there, you don't get that on
No.
Eddie Trunk. Who? Trunk doesn't ask cool questions like that.
Stop it.
He doesn't have music failures in the beginning of the show. We want to thank you so much for being on the show. You have no idea how much it has meant to us.
An honor.
Yes, it is an honor. We would love to have you back when your album is done, and if you take it on the road, and you're looking for a Central New York venue,
we got one.
We have quite a few in this area that have a lot of national acts coming through. So we would love to have you set it up through your management and everything. So
I would love that. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys coming in on your day off and everything.
Well, you're worth the day off.
Yeah, you are worth the day off.
I mean, it's not like.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, if you were a drummer,
forget it.
I'd
have told him no.
Nope.
Forget it.
Sorry, you're not cool. You don't have a bass named after you.
Correct.
You don't even have a good sticks.
No. They don't even have your autograph on it, so.
That's right. Anyways. Well, again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We don't have music to roll out of because we suck. But usually this is the part where the music would come in.
And we'd go like this. Sharky Spencer.
Oh, no, yeah. We say, thank you for watching The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
I'm Jeff, and that
is Eva. We want to thank Auk Medical Supply, Sharky's Event Center,
DJ Life's the Beach, Good Nature Brewery,
Uncle Jimmy's local and obnoxious live music, the Print Shop Underground,
Starkey Productions, and Toffee Break Talk.
and don't forget,
Ultimate Ears.
the best in-ears in the business, Ultimate Ears. You can hear your own tunes.
Ultimate Ears.
Ultimate Ears. And that's it.
That's us.
Don't forget, be good to everybody.
Don't be a dick.
That's usually my line.
I know, you switched it up so bad today.
Don't be a dick. Have a good time. Peace, everybody. Boom.
And we're done.
Boom.